Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Aleasha Bahr, and this is the Introverted Entrepreneur Success Stories. I'm a sales coach for introverts, and I craft custom sales pitches for your personality, your service, and your audience that allow you to sign up over 50% of the people you talk to without pain pitching or pretending to be somebody else. And the idea for this show came from people like you who have the desire to be an entrepreneur, but might let being an introvert hold them back or make them think they're not cut out for it. So we decided it could be helpful to interview other introverted entrepreneurs about their journey, success, and how they feel about sales. Because we found that sales is an unavoidable part of entrepreneurship and often the reason introverts shy away from it. So joining us on the show today is Megan Sawtelle. She is the founder and CEO of AK Lean Virtual Assistants, a one-stop shop for analysis and implementation of administrative processes, infusing Lean Six Sigma principles and philosophies into their approach to assessments, automations, and business support. They help their clients document the current state of their administrative functions, understand how to look at processes for efficiency opportunities, and provide high-quality implementation, automation, and business process support. Basically, she loves operations and systems, which is cool because I don't. So it's like the opposite. The perfect compliment to me. So thank you so much for joining us, Megan. I know as an introvert, it's not always easy to come on these shows, and it means a lot. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And you've got to love Megan's cat ears. They are actually headphones, which is pretty amazing, and a perfect icebreaker for an introvert. Megan was telling me it's like her secret ice-breaking thing, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it started when, right at the beginning of COVID, my headphones broke and I panicked and grabbed my husband's PlayStation headphones. And I loved them because of the sound control. And so I said, damn it, if I'm going to buy, oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss on this show.
Go for it.
if I'm going to buy headphones for $200, they better have cat ears. And so I have cat ears, and they have kind of become a trademark. People get mad when I don't have my cat ears. When I met one of my clients for the first time, they're like, I kind of expected you to have legitimate cat ears.
You're like, I don't need my headphones in person. Yeah. So that is actually a pro tip for introverts to do something like a little unusual that can be a conversation piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Megan said that she doesn't get tired. The only thing that I would be concerned about is the repetition of it, because introverts also really hate small talk, typically, especially repetitious small talk. But Megan said she's like, you're super grateful, right? Like, whoop.
I am. It's, jumping into a meeting, I'm always a little awkward on how to start the conversation. Do we start talking immediately about contracting and what you need for my business, or do we say, what is the weather like? But having the cat ears, I mean, even when I first met you, the first thing people say is, oh my God, I love your headphones. And for me, I know the why I have them. I know how I had them. So I kind of have this pre-scripted spiel about my headphones, and it helps break the ice, and it helps me get comfortable talking with that person. Because then the conversation will go, oh yeah, I play video games, or, oh, I love cats. And it starts bringing that personal touch without too much effort.
I love that, because weather is just kind of awkward to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about it. I know that like weather very much affects humans, from day to day, but it's just not going to make you feel close to somebody to talk about the weather.
Well, I think it's shallow. People say, how's the weather? And it's like saying, if you're in the hallway, how are you? Most people respond automatically as good. It's not necessarily they truly want to know what the weather is. It's, this is what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. The how are you doing question really bugs me. I guess as an introvert, maybe that's why, but I'm like, no one really cares. No one wants to know. I
tell them, like, if you're going to ask me how you are, you're either going to get, I'm great, I'm good, or you're going to get, my kid was freaking psycho today and I'm tired. Like, I don't do the candid responses.
That's it. But I mean, I bet that you establish more of a relationship when you tell them what's really going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say most of the time. Sometimes they look at me and they're just like, I really didn't need to know that much. But other times I'll hear people relate. It'll be like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally a mom. I get it. Like my kid was throwing up at 2 a.m. in the morning. So it kind of helps break down boundaries, whether intentional or not.
Well, I mean, maybe it's a good way to filter out the ones who, aren't into that answer, are not our people, basically, that don't want to keep it real. Okay, so what did you do before starting a business?
The majority of my time, because I am on the younger age scale, so the majority of my workforce was with state government. I worked in the Department of Transportation as a variety of admin positions. I started down as an office assistant and I wound up becoming a supervisor at 22.
Wow.
Which right, right place, right time, right skill set. But I had a supervisor who really kind of saw the best in me before I did. And he was the one that kind of, it's like, hey, your boss's position is coming open, you need to apply. So I became a supervisor at 22, and then I became an admin officer at 26, which in the realm of the Alaska state government, a lot of admin officers are in their 40s and 50s. So I was the baby admin officer, but I'm really passionate about admin processes. I'm passionate about having good desk manuals and, just, what do you do? Like if you have to submit a timesheet, what do you do? And so I worked for state government for a long time. And then towards the end of that, I was there for about 8 years, but the last 2 years I was put onto a special project with a few of my engineer coworkers to build a new department build a new division within the department.
Wow.
And it introduced me to the world of Lean Six Sigma. I became a Lean Six Sigma black belt. Found out I really liked the fact that there's a structured way to ask why, because I was the why kid growing up. I wanted to know everything. And I went on to become a master black belt. Yeah, too. Right. You need to know. Yeah. So that's kind of what I did before. And the reason I left that was after I worked as that, I was kind of seen as an admin subject matter expert. But after that special project was done, they wanted me to go back and just do budgets and just do admin work. I was like, I can't, you gave me too much freedom. Like I got to see this whole new world of process mapping and analysis and all of this geek out stuff that I love. I was like, I can't go back to being just an admin officer. So rather than becoming disgruntled, I was like, I'm just going to start my business. I thought about this business in college and didn't pursue it. And rather than be a cranky state worker, I decided, okay, I guess it's time.
That's awesome. So, before you started the business, did you think that being an introvert was an asset or not? Is it something you even considered?
No, I hadn't really considered it. I mean, AK Lean came about, it was about the time I started the state. I was a single mom and I was in school still. I was getting my bachelor's, and the capstone was you had to write a functional business plan. And so I wrote the original plan for AK Lean years and years ago, and I finished it. They said it was a great business plan. And then I promptly threw it in a drawer and said, I can't do this. I'm a single mom. I need insurance. I don't like talking with people that much. I just want to, at that point in my life, I just wanted to sit down, do my work, leave work, go home. Like I didn't want kind of what a traditional, or what I thought a traditional business owner was. I was like, I just want to put my head down and do the work. I enjoy the work. That's all I want to do. And so I didn't pursue it, even though I created it almost a decade and a half ago.
Okay. So when you say, this is a really interesting point, because I bet there are people listening who might have these preconceived notions of what owning a business is like. So when you say like whatever you thought a business was like, what are you talking about exactly that made you not want to do it?
So there's kind of multifacets to it. I want to talk about what professional looks like first, because being in state government as long as I was, Professional was you don't have, I mean, you can't tell in the video, but my hair is like right in the middle between pink and purple. Professional is not having that dyed hair.
Yeah.
It's not having all the tattoos that I have. It's cold, so they're covered, but I've got tattoos. I had piercings. I'm obsessed with alternative rock music. Foo Fighters are where it's at. None of that is deemed professional. I think a lot of people get the impression that that's not professional. So I struggled with that because I'm definitely not the like pencil skirt wearing, always reading self-help books. I want to read a true crime book. I grew up on Marvel comics. So I think that's one thing is I really thought that I didn't fit the appearance of a professional, of a business owner.
Huh.
Right. So I didn't feel like I felt the appearance of it. I have a lot of anxiety issues. I'm actually bipolar too, and I couldn't see any good examples of a business owner who fit that realm. Like I'm very, very high functioning, but the anxiety and the depression is big. It's real, and it's something you deal with every day. And I didn't have examples of successful people who showed those traits. Everyone was, I love going to parties. I love talking to people. I'm super confident in myself. It's like, I know that I'm very intelligent. I know that I can do these processes. I know I'm an expert, but I'm not naturally confident. Even though people say I should be, I'm not. It's something I have to work on every flipping day. And so I couldn't see any of those examples in the business owners that I immediately saw. And the way I function, it's like, yeah, you've got, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, whatnot, like that doesn't resonate with me because they're so far removed. Yeah. But in the closeness realm, I couldn't see anyone like me. So I took that as, well, I don't meet the qualifications to be a business owner.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So a lot of it is the fact that you thought that you had to look a certain way to be a business owner, because I always associated with finally, I don't have to look a certain way. Like I can look however I want because I am the business. But there are other people who might think that. And just so you guys know, you can do whatever the hell you want when you have your business. You could show up in cat ears. You could show up in crazy costume makeup, like whatever. You do want to think about the kind of person that attracts and stuff, but I like the person. Like if you need me to be wearing pencil skirts, like we're not a fit kind of thing.
Well, and I think a big part of it is, yes, think about who you're attracting. But what I ran into is people thought that I was lying when I wasn't being me. Like they got the vibe I was hiding something if I was overly dressed up, or like they could tell when I was uncomfortable and they thought that I was hiding something. The second I was in a band teacher or my cat ears, it changed everything. They connected with me. They wanted to do business with me. And it took a couple of clients giving me some tough love and saying, why do you keep showing up like this when this is clearly who you are? Like, we want to work with this person who is very comfortable in their knowledge. And we don't care if you're in a Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Like we're here for your brain, not for your clothes. And I think it's, so there's an aspect of people feel like you're hiding something if you're not being who you are.
This is something I talk a lot about in sales too. People like feel like they have to act a certain way or use a certain script or something. And it feels like you're putting on a really stiff suit. And when you show up in clothes that are not your clothes, but you're like trying to pretend like they're your clothes, everyone knows that those are not your clothes. And
yeah,
it's like kind of uncomfortable for everyone in the room, including you. So I can see that working with actual clothes too. And it's really cool that your clients could see through it and wanted you to be that way. I think that some people who maybe fit, I remember like, I also swear like a sailor. It's bad. And for a long time, I like struggled with not doing that. Not that I would do it in the first meeting or something, but like in my marketing, for example, and stuff. And some people were like, I would be so turned off if there was a swear word in somebody's marketing or presentation or whatever. And I'm like, if I heard a swear word in someone's marketing and presentation, I would be like, oh, I can relax. Like, good.
Right. Right.
So like those just necessarily aren't my people, you know, but if I pretended that I didn't swear and I pretended these things, then I could attract someone who was a little like, I would say prissier or more, you know, worried about like PC things. And that would not be the best fit to work together. So it's really cool that you still attracted people who were such a great fit to work with you, even though you were like putting on that more professional, like in my blazer,
The formal
image, the formal image. Yeah. And then the other thing that you said about there not being leaders that really show those traits. It's something that I have no doubt the people listening to this show feel as well. It's definitely something people feel in sales, like, oh, I'm not extroverted, so I can't be in sales. I never saw it applying to a business owner too, but definitely the part about like anxiety and depression and struggles at home. Like one of my favorite quotes is, don't compare your behind the scenes to someone's feature film.
Exactly.
And you've seen enough companies too at this point that everybody is a shit show behind the scenes.
They hire me to look at those shit shows and help straighten it out, of course.
Yeah, they're like, when you look behind it, like they might be projecting this image that, you know, everything is put together and they're killing it, and you know, it's, you know, hard, but they do it anyway and whatever. But behind the scenes, everyone's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm terrible at my job. Why does anybody work with me? Why does anyone listen to me? Why does anyone pay me money? Like,
and it's all common. Like every business owner I know has those moments. I mean, I work with lawyers, I work with consultants, I work with small businesses, like startups. Every person has those to some extent. You could be making, you know, 20,000 a year, or you could be making 200,000 a year, and you're still going to have those.
I mean, Elon Musk has those moments. Tony Robbins has those moments. Like, what the hell? Why are people listening to me? And do I really actually know what I'm doing? Like, I don't know. So I think that knowing, like, luckily we've seen behind the scenes of so many companies to know now that that is everyone. And if you weren't like that, you're almost like a sociopath. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like how you could just have this like fearless confidence in every moment of your life. Like it seems strange. But for anyone listening who might not know that, I hope that hearing that gives you some comfort in being able to push through those moments, knowing that one day you're going to feel like I have this together. Some of the days you feel like that, right, Megan?
I do, but I also like the reality of it is you're never going to be like that 100%. You're going to have days where you're like, I'm killing it, I'm crushing it. And then, you know, next Tuesday, you're going to be like, what the frick happened? Like, why am I in business? I've been in business for almost 4 years, and the pendulum will constantly swing, constantly. You'll get into, you know, inevitably you'll have a bad contract that goes wrong. And for someone who has such extreme anxiety, you know, I will get in moments where I'm crying to my husband going, why? Like, my whole business is failing. This is not successful. Like, what is he's like, no, you're focusing on one contract. You have these 26 other businesses you're working with. This is one person. And it's okay. It's okay to feel like that as long as you don't live in it. You know, you don't throw away the entire golden pot because you found one burnt something in there. You throw away the burnt item.
Yeah. And you learn how to not work with the burnt item again. It's all an evolution and adjustment. And everyone will have that bad client, probably more than once, before they like really start saying no. It's hard to imagine saying no to business at first. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope that this helps everybody know that, yeah, there will be times like that. You don't need to be flawlessly confident. Nobody we know is, as long as you're able to keep going through it and have people you can talk to and lean on. And I think what's especially hard is introverts have this dedication to excellence, like this responsibility for doing a really
Right.
good job for the other person, for their client.
Like a
And so
perfection paralysis.
when they feel like they didn't live up to that, and they didn't just absolutely nail it for their client, and the client's unhappy, it like hurts worse or something. Like we take it on, like, how could I have done this? Is my fault. How could I have done this? I need to give up. I need to stop. Like what you're talking about with your burnt piece that and your husband.
Right. No, we take it incredibly serious. It's deep felt. And I come from a really unique standpoint because I'm so trained in like looking at processes. And when you look at a process, there is no such thing as perfection. You want a process that is good enough, not perfect. If you wait to implement something till it's perfect, it'll never be implemented. And so like knowing all of these logical pieces about processes and analysis, sometimes I try to be the extreme and take that knowledge and put it to the emotional aspect. And it doesn't work. It doesn't correlate at all. I will still like, and my husband will try to regurgitate what I have vented to him about. He'll be like, oh, but they are not expecting perfection. I was like, but it has to be perfect. And you got to ride the wave, get the emotions out, and then come back and say, okay, what can I do better next time?
Yes. As long as you, like, there's another quote that I really love that it's like, there's no failures. You either got the lesson or the result you needed. So as long as you still get a lesson out of it, it's not a loss. If you don't even pay attention to the lesson, then it totally is a loss, because you're going to probably make that mistake again. Okay. So now, do you think that it's an asset to be an entrepreneur, and how do you think it influences you as an entrepreneur, being an introvert?
I think the biggest way that it influences me is how I get out there and be seen in the community. I don't really do a ton of marketing. I'm learning to do marketing, but I have learned that I would rather get my name out there in the community by volunteering. So instead of having big flashy campaigns, I like to go and meet people where they're at, whether I'm, volunteering for a TEDx event or, doing a presentation somewhere, or I don't know. I can't think of other volunteer things off the top of my head. Oh, we sponsored a cat once at the shelter because the shelter was overrun with cats, and they were asking business owners to pay adoption fees. So we sponsored this cat named Bones to get adopted. And it's like, I found that those relate more to who I am as an introvert, because I really do have a kind heart and I don't like to push myself on people. But when I volunteer and I keep showing up in the community in a passive way that means something to me, people are seeing me more. And it's not in a networking sales pitchy way. It's we're volunteering side by side, and those bonds are stronger because we're sharing a common interest. And that leads to referrals. It leads to people going, hey, didn't we work with that admin person? Or, hey, didn't Kayleen talk about, process maps or something while we were stuffing bags for an event? And so I found that being an introvert gives me more of those opportunities to build the stronger relationships. And then the people that I meet enjoyed interacting with me on a personal level, and they are selling what I do. They are selling the type of person I am in the relationship. So I don't feel as much pressure to be that upfront, flashy CEO. I feel like I can be myself more.
I think that is such a beautiful alternative for many people. I haven't heard of it before. And I really like it. I really love volunteering as well. I find that you can't ever be sad when you are volunteering. It's kind of impossible. And it's just nice to be doing something that has an impact that is greater than you. So I can see how that would build a bond with other people who also like doing that.
And it takes the pressure off, because when you go to a networking event, you're expected to pitch your business. You're expected to have these candid responses. When you're volunteering, like a lot of the volunteer opportunities I look for are volunteer opportunities where I know other business owners will be volunteering too. And then casual conversations, eventually your business will come up. Eventually what you do and how you do it and who your target audience is will come up, but it's not the focal point.
It's such a fantastic idea. I love it. Okay. So we kind of talked about this. What were you most concerned about before becoming an entrepreneur? It was really like, am I going to have to be super formal? And will I have to pretend that I have it together 100% of the time? Or is it okay to not? Was there any other concerns?
I think the other biggest concern was the fact that I'm a mom of 2 kids. That was a big concern to me. Like, how are people going to accept that I have to balance this? I know in my first iteration of business cards, I didn't put a phone number on there intentionally. And a lot of people would push back and be like, you need a phone number. Why don't you have a phone number on there? And so I got to the point where I give the candid response of, if you call me, there's a 50-50 chance there's a kid screaming or a dog barking in the background. And I don't want that to be the first impression. I would rather schedule a call with you to where I can present my best self. And I found there was 2 camps of people with that response. There was the people who are like, oh, well, this person sounds like they're a hot mess. I don't really want to, like, if that's the expectation. And then I found the other camp of people who are like, thank God this person's a human. Like, I don't care if there's a kid screaming in the background. I was in one meeting where I have an English bulldog puppy, and she was laying next to my feet snoring. And this guy stopped the entire meeting to go, or I'm sorry, this lady, she stopped the entire meeting to go, I'm sorry, does anyone else hear that snoring? Of course, I immediately panic. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's my dog, my bulldog. And this other guy in the meeting's like, well, prove it. So I literally lifted my bulldog puppy up and showed. And I found that people like knowing that it's real, especially after COVID, where everyone's getting a really intimate glimpse into their homes. They wanted that real thing. And so my fear of being both a mom to 2 kids, one who's special needs, that fear of having to separate my life kind of dissolved over this last 4 years to where people felt more comfortable. Like, I have one client, she is not a mom, but she knows that if she shows up in a panicked hair, makeup not done, I really don't care. Like, yeah. I put makeup on today because I stayed up too late watching a Netflix thing. You know, that's our world. Most of the time I don't wear makeup and I look like a mom, a tired mom. And people appreciated that relaxed ability to just be.
Yeah. Well, it's giving everybody permission to not put on a front. Everyone like feels this pressure to pretend that they have it all together, like the formal, like I'm killing it and crushing it. And I mean, the truth is you can kill it and crush it without having to look like that or act like that. Like they're not related. And I relate to that so much. When my kid is like showing up on screen, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so unprofessional. Like, are they going to judge me? Like, I definitely feel that.
I have a great story that happened yesterday that kind of proves the comfort of where I started versus where I ended. So where I started, I would constantly panic about my kids being in screen or them being hurt or everything. So that was, almost 4 years ago. And yesterday I was in the office with my 2 kids. My younger daughter, she's 5. And, at 5, they're still trying to learn to get to the bathroom fast enough sometimes. And I was in a meeting with potential vendors for software I want to purchase. And she comes in behind me, waving this pair of underwear, going, Mom, I changed my underwear. And I'm sitting here like turned around, trying to shoo her away. But I was laughing about the whole thing. It's like just the growth from being panicked of even having like part of her head showing to her going wild child behind me, swinging a pair of underwear in 4 years. Like, to me, that tells a lot of introverted people, like, you'll get there. It may take 2 months, it may take 4 years, it may take 10 years, but eventually you'll find your comfort level in being around people.
Well, and also I think it just comes down to the fact that like, you don't want to work with people who judge you for that.
It's
like,
life.
At the end of the day, like it's okay to not be for everyone. It's okay to say, these are the people that I work with best, and there are plenty of them. Not like the whole perfect, image type of people. So it's so nice, I think, especially for introverts, like the realness of it. And that's why so many of us hate small talk, is it feels so shallow. So there's a depth there to being real that is like comforting. Like you can finally relax and feel better about yourself and about talking to the other person, and just in general. Putting on a mask is so draining for introverts usually.
Incredibly so.
Okay, so let's talk sales, which is an avoidable thing for any entrepreneur. How did you feel about them before you owned your own business?
I did not put a whole lot of stock in sales because I worked in state government. In state government, you are handed a budget. And if you go over that budget, you say, "Mother, may I?" And they try to help you fix it. So to be honest, I did not put a lot of stock in sales. It just wasn't something that I had to do. If we go back further than that, I worked at an arts and crafts center when I was 17, like 17 to 20-ish. And the sales in that matter was making sure that you had the fun things at kid eye level, because then the kids are like, "Mom, mom, mom, mom." Like, so I never really had to think about sales. And when I started AK Lean, I really got launched by an individual that I known who had, she was a consultant who worked with me while I was in the state. We facilitated together. And no joke, my last day at the state, the next day I met with her. She's like, "I want to introduce you to people." So I kind of didn't even get like that first, "Oh crap, what did I get into" moment as a business owner, because she took me by the hand and started introducing me to people, which was a great blessing. It launched me forward, but it also kind of crippled me a little bit because I didn't have to struggle. Within 2 months, I had a client who took up most of my time, and I still have her almost 4 years later. Like, I still have that same client. So I'm 4 years in and just now having to start to think about sales, because everyone has been referrals at this point. And so now me here, I'm caught between the camp of like, I'm still a successful business owner, but oh crap, like I have to think about how to put these things in writing. I have to think about how to talk about my business and try to get people to want to buy my stuff. And it's a little terrifying, trying to put yourself out like that. I get nervous every single discovery call I do, even though I've been doing them for the last 4 years. I get nervous. In that discovery call, I have learned that I refuse to give pricing out because I will panic. And if their face has an expression like it's too much, if I open my mouth, I will start cutting prices when I shouldn't, because I know what my value is. And so I refuse to do pricing in the discovery calls. I like, okay, I will get you a quote afterwards. But sales are terrifying. They are hard.
Oh no, so really the difference with the referral meeting is that they already have a good idea of who you are and have like, you can still bomb a referral meeting. So if you're landing all your referrals, you're not that bad at sales. And it's probably just that you don't feel the need to convince the other person at all as much anyway. And I was talking to somebody about this today, like to really own that frame of like, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything, which is so easy to feel like you have to do. And for people to sometimes make you feel like you have to do. I mean, I've even literally told people sometimes, like, I'm not here to convince you of anything. So if that's what you're looking for, like, I won't do that. Like, I'm here to understand what's going on and if I can help. And that's really it. And
that is
really
exactly how I approach discovery calls is let's talk. I'm not going to sell a pitch to you, but let's talk.
Yeah. So that intention of like, I want to, coming from that helpful place, sort of like lets the rest of it flow. And when you're coming from that helpful place, your expertise is naturally going to shine. And they're going to say, this girl knows her shit. And probably want to, I'm guessing that's what your sales calls probably sound like. And they want to work with you.
Usually, because I'm very, very passionate about the document automation we do, about looking at processes and about really helping people succeed on the back end. Like that is my jam. And if I give, and I'm going to say it this way, I give myself permission to not talk about the money or to deflect from talking about the money in these conversations. Because the second I start panicking, I won't approach my knowledge the same way. Like I will become anxious, I'll become unconfident and struggle. But if I walk into it and just talk, I start out by saying, okay, tell me about your processes in your business and what frustrates you. Then they open up, they share, and I can start giving kind of ideas or, explain a lot. I spend a lot of time explaining what a virtual assistant is, because we do consulting document automation, but we also have kind of that virtual assistant side of the house. And I spend a lot of time telling them about what the industry is. I spend time explaining what, Lean Six Sigma is or what document automation is. And I had a better thought and I kind of lost the train. But the whole point was, like, I give myself permission to avoid talking about the pricing because my business structure is not set up in the sense that the pricing is the most important part of the conversation. They need someone they can open up to and trust and let that curtain fall, because I do see a lot of things. I see their vulnerable points,
Yeah. So, I mean, I love what you said, a couple of things. One of the things that you can tell the other person's reaction, which is a real big introverted thing, like they're much more aware of the other person's like leaning in, leaning out, what they're not saying, micro expressions. And that is a huge asset when it comes to a sales conversation, because you're able to adjust or ask more questions about something or back off or whatever, because you're so in tune with the other person's reaction to you. So it's actually a huge benefit. There are some things you can do to avoid panicking, but I love that you found something that worked for you, that you felt like, I mean, I don't have to talk about this, and that's okay. I'm not going to force myself to do this thing that everybody says that you should do. I'm not going to get pushed into it. So for a lot of introverts, I hope that gives you some idea of how you can structure your business around what you like. That's the other good thing about being a business owner is you can wear what you want, you can say what you want, and you can structure it however you want. So you don't have to feel pressured to fit into these confines of what other people say is normal, because there really is no normal. Like
no, there really isn't.
I mean, when people are like, I have to do it this other way because this person says the way it's done, I'm like, are you getting results? It's literally the only thing that matters. If you're not getting results, try something else. If you're getting results, tell them to take a hike,
Yes.
So that's great. The difference for you has really been like embracing what helps you in an intuitive way, and like reading the other person across from you too. So the last question is, what do you recommend to other introverts that are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs?
Don't be afraid of your idea. I mean, at the heart of it, don't be afraid of your idea and what it's going to take, because especially if that idea has already been out there, there is very, very few brand new ideas in the world. Someone has done it before you. Someone will do it after you. And that's okay, because they're not going to do it the way that you do. They are not going to approach it the same way that you do. And that's a good thing. Bring your quirky self, like wear the clothes that you want to wear. Structure your business the way you want to structure. In the Lean Six Sigma world, you typically hear about Lean Six Sigma in your manufacturing and healthcare, in IT. Well, I threw it into the admin world, and it's not common, but it gets a lot of talk, and it's very, very needed, and it fits. It's just not a common marriage. And so don't be afraid to have those weird thoughts. They'll get you far. And don't be afraid to be you. Set up your office the way that it makes you comfortable. I mean, I have Nightmare Before Christmas back here because they give me a focus point when I'm stressed in a meeting. I can be like, oh, look, there's Jack Skellington in my picture, It's your business. It's your business. It's your livelihood. You have to deal with it every day. So set it up in the way that you want it and don't apologize. Don't apologize for it. You know, I really, really struggled with the professional thing, and I learned the hard way. And it cost me clients. It cost me money. It cost me a crap ton of clothes that I hate wearing. It didn't benefit me to be someone else. But when I embraced who I was, I went from, in 4 years, from being just me to having a team of 6 across 3 different states who all love doing what I do. They love working with me because I'm me. Our staff meetings, we talk about video games and serial killer podcasts and Marvel movies intermingled with talking about our client work. And if I was not true to who I was, I wouldn't have the amazing team that I have. I wouldn't have the clients that I have. So it's important to be you.
That is such a myth buster, I hope, for some people who they'll be more successful. It can seem counterintuitive, but like you'll be more successful being you and embracing all the weird, I say weird quotations, like stuff, than the other way around. And thank you so much for coming, Megan. This was so wonderful. I hope that other people feel inspired to go out there and let that unicorn flag fly as an introvert.
Fly high.
Fly it so high. All the parts that you think that are weird about yourself or don't fit in, those are the things you should highlight. Literally. I know that sounds crazy, but it will be like a beacon to the right people. And give them so much relief that there's somebody doing this in a way that resonates with them when there's such a sea of the same options that doesn't resonate with them out there. So Megan, how can people find you and connect with you?
So our website is akleanvirtualassistants.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at akleanva. And then I'm personally on LinkedIn under Megan Sawtelle. That's kind of where we're at. I mean, if you're in Alaska locally, I'll pop up throughout the community, and who knows what situation, but we can be reached through those socials.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. And everyone, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.